Hey everyone, Mike from Mortgage Nerds here in Appleton, Wisconsin. I have the pleasure of being with
Pam from Mortgage Nerds in Appleton, Wisconsin.
Yes, you are. Today we're going to talk about what to expect when you're expecting a mortgage closing.
Yes.
See what I did
Definitely, yeah, I did.
All right.
Yes.
Cool. So let's talk about you're through the process. We've done many videos on that. But
Right.
Now we're approaching closing. That could be a week before,
Right.
a couple days before. What should I expect, Pam?
First, well, not necessarily in this order, but definitely get the closing schedule with the title company.
Who does that?
Well, a lot of times the realtors do it. Sometimes the lender does it. Kind of just depends on the area. But in this area, typically the realtor schedules it for a convenient time for the buyer and
the seller.
And the seller and the title company.
Correct.
So, yes.
All right. So schedule a time that works for you. And right now we're going to concentrate on a home purchase.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Okay, so we have a time nailed down. Now what? What else?
The other thing that we're regulated is we have to make sure that the buyer gets a initial closing disclosure at least 3 business days before they sign the closing package.
a.k.a. CD.
CD, correct. And that is... There's no way around that.
Nope.
So it's the initial. A lot of times we don't have the final numbers balanced with the title company. Should be pretty close, but we're always in touch and say, hey, this is coming through DocuSign or whatever it is. But be sure that if your loan officer tells you to sign it, you sign it.
Yeah, it has to be done.
Yes.
3 days prior to.
Yes.
It's an absolute regulation.
Yes.
There's no way around it. So if you don't have a initial CD, at least 3 days prior to closing. Warning, red flags, all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
So get your initial CD signed before closing. Schedule your closing.
Yep.
What else do you need? I
would always suggest scheduling a final walkthrough with your realtor, or if it's a for sale by owner, the owner themselves, just to...
It's weird lately. People have been not doing final walkthroughs. And,
right.
I guess, I don't know if it's during this weird time that we're in that people aren't doing it, but you 100%
Definitely.
do a final walkthrough.
Definitely.
Why? What are some experiences that you brought across?
One experience, this was years ago, the client did his final walkthrough and went in the basement, and once the furniture was moved away from a wall, he noticed there was a ton of mold in the basement.
You're saying the same client I am?
You are.
And
they
got out of that transaction.
Did. Yeah, basically the seller had kind of, I don't know if they covered it up on purpose. I'm not really sure of all that, but like I said, it wasn't there and then it was. So that was a big deal.
They were able to avoid purchasing the home. Now the seller has a right to cure, and a long story. There's legal, but all the legal things were met in that, and the seller would not cure, let him out of the contract. He wanted out of the contract. It worked out. If he would have closed on the transaction, it would have been a nightmare. Yeah. Honestly, in my opinion, he would have ended up just fixing it himself because of the money and all that for attorneys. You'd have just save yourself the headaches. Go through a final walkthrough. If your realtor tells you not to do a final walkthrough, again, warning, red flags, not good.
Right, exactly.
All right, so final walkthrough, closing, initial CD. What else we got?
Once we balance and we get you the final number, you have to have your bottom line to bring to closing, the money.
Most people bring at least a little bit of money to closing.
Oh,
in Wisconsin, there are programs with no money down. Usually the way it all works out, you got to bring funds in. Funds need to be verified. We verify the funds through your bank statement, all pages of your bank statement.
Yes.
And once we do that, then you need to bring money to closing.
Correct.
So I can just bring cash, right? That's cool.
No, definitely not cash.
No cash.
Cashier's check. Typically, if it's a small amount, some title companies will let you bring a personal check if it's under like $1,000 or $500. That's rare.
Still not best practices.
No, definitely not. Wire the funds, and because some title companies, depending on the dollar amount that you have to bring in, require a wire. And then
usually a larger
yes, a larger amount. And you definitely want to make sure we have the wire instructions come from the title company. And if you get any other weird things.
So wiring is where fraud is done the most,
yes.
Right? So people will pretend that they're the title company. They'll reach out to you and try to get your wire information or have you wire to them funds. It's happened in Wisconsin. It's the number one way that they commit fraud.
Correct.
They steal your down payment, basically.
Right, exactly.
Right? So they pretend the email looks like it's coming from the title company, all that. it's not.
Yep.
One big indicator is look at the actual email and make sure it's not a vanity, email or match stuff.
Exactly.
Anyway, so you said cashier's check.
Yes.
It's probably the most common, right?
Yes.
Right.
That's,
what about money order?
No.
Why?
Because, again, that's typically you're going into the bank to get a money order, but you're giving them cash so that title companies look at.
There's one more reason. You can cancel a money order.
Ah,
so you get a money
okay.
order for $25,000, and then you look at the teller and go, cancel it. And they go, okay. And then you still get your money order.
Oh.
You go to the title
Okay.
company, you give them that, and it's canceled. You cannot cancel.
Okay. I did not know that.
It's cashier's check.
Correct.
Whoever whispered that, thank you. You can't cancel a cashier's check.
Exactly.
All right, cool. So
Perfect.
funds to close, and then typically you, as the mortgage advisor, reach out to them ahead of time.
Go through everything and explain it. You got it.
What is a typical time frame prior to closing that I would have that information? When should I know that, and when it? Because it's not always an exact time, right?
No, I mean, we always try to have the clear to close at least a week, if not more, ahead of time.
Right.
So that's probably a good gauge. Sometimes it comes down to some balancing, or if we're doing a split closing and the title company doesn't have figures from the seller's side or something like that, it could.
There's a lot of moving
closer.
parts, but I'm going to say 48 hours before closing.
Right.
If you don't have it, pick up the phone, call your loan officer,
right.
and see. And the worst case scenario, I know your mortgage advisor, whether they be a mortgage broker like we are, or retail or bank, credit union, doesn't matter. They should be able to give you a ballpark.
Right.
Hey, you're going to bring in around 24.5, whatever it is. Go ahead and get that check, and we can cut back money.
A check, absolutely.
Right? That kind of stuff.
Yep.
It was cushion for on the higher end.
Yep.
Right. So, all right, we got our funds, we got our CD, we got our time close, we got our initial walkthrough. What else?
Make sure you have a valid photo ID to bring with you.
What does valid mean?
Valid means not expired.
Yep.
I've had people that have been, there and been like, oh my gosh. Sometimes people will wait because they know they're moving. Typically we'll catch all that before because we need an ID to submit the file. But they don't want to pay the money to change their ID if they're moving in a week, that kind of thing. So, yes.
What is, anything else? I just thought of a really good one that's overlooked. Yes. So during the transaction, you always talk about, if we're taking out other debt, right? And so we do a credit refresh, or the lender will do credit refresh for closing, make sure there's no other inquiries, whatever. You're also going to sign something at closing stating that you did not take out any additional debt. Let's say you're closing at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Wednesday. Well, there's no way to know if that morning you went and bought a car or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So you have to sign an affidavit saying that you did not take out an additional debt that we don't know about.
Also, that you're still working.
And that you're still working. So don't quit your job. Had it happen.
Yes.
Me.
Yes.
I switched job. I'm getting more money. Great for you. You don't get a house. And don't buy a car. Cool. You bought a car? Great. You might as well hope it's big enough for you to live in, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So big no-nos in there.
Yep.
And hopefully that doesn't happen to you guys. Hopefully you're getting educated on
Exactly.
this. So
exactly.
that's pretty much most of it, right? We fully know that the mortgage process can be an emotional one, right? You're leaving either an apartment or a different home. You're selling that one. You're buying another one. Like, what if this isn't closed on time? Like, you're all those anxieties. So be careful who you choose, right? When it comes to your financing, we end up saving a lot of deals, which is great. It's a great feeling to be able to do that. Puts everybody under pressure,
right?
And we're fine with doing that. But do your due diligence. Check out, the reviews. Check out, who your friends use, that kind of stuff before you get in bed with somebody that's, an online lender that is in a different state that you've never heard of,
talk to.
Has no reputation
Exactly.
whatsoever, because they don't really care if you close or not. Okay. Where we have a little bit different approach in that.
Absolutely.
Right. So hopefully that gives you guys an overview of what to expect right before closing. Remember, mortgages are complex. Let mortgage nerds
give you the answers that you need.
See ya.